Welcome to this episode of YouTube, where we're featuring some surveillance footage of our first thunderstorm of the year, and we wanted to just talk a little bit about fear avoidance behavior with wolves. We do condition them to the sights and sounds of the exhibit, but the natural world is something that they kind of need to get used to on their own, and they actually do quite well. We don't really see any of the kind of fear avoidance that you might find with a dog. And you hear some thunder here. And it really elicits no response from the wolves. They're just out and about, moving around, checking things out, going to the pond. And this was actually on the 14th, which was the night of the medical exam. And we did conduct a pack-wide medical exam looking at some health issues. The Arctics just stayed on site. They had their toenails clipped, were vaccinated, checked their teeth. Not a lot going on. Denali and Bolts actually went to the Ely Vet Clinic. Denali had hip x-rays, had a few growths that needed to be looked at, sampled, biopsies. We're waiting on some reports. Bolts had issues with his throat, inability to howl, a high pitch, did not really find anything external that would be causing that, so that's still kind of a mystery. And then had a little bit of an issue with a gum issue that we are biopsying and checking. So, like I said, the pack is healthy. Denali needs to lose a little bit of weight. We're having a challenge with that. But Bolts, again, is probably our biggest concern, trying to figure out what is going on. He's got a little bit of pinkness around his gum that's causing a little bit of irritation. So when we take the pack out, we have to bring them in a specific order. And Bolts and Denali came in first, had a couple hours to themselves, and then the Arctics came back in. And you can see the reason why we do that. Bolts is a little bit insecure about Axel. A little bit tight quarters for Bolts to be in there with Axel. You can see a little bit of a conflict. Actually, his tail's wagging like he wants to be social, but his ears are pricked and turned sideways and given a little bit of a lip curl, so not very confident about that. But I think what's important to notice here is Grayson's right behind Bolts. That doesn't concern Bolts. Grayson's not the issue. It's Axel that's the issue. So we're always thinking, how are things going to go as we progress? Denali's 12. No doubt Denali's healthy. Matter of fact, the only concerns we have right now are Bolts and not Denali. But he is 12, and we want to make sure that these three can still maintain a pack in the absence of Denali if he happens to retire. So my biggest concern is Axel, and high tail here, definitely Axel posturing and causing Bolts intimidation. But if we can work on Bolts' confidence with Grayson, we can form a little bit of an alliance for him. Right now, he depends on Denali. So I wanted to share the pond is back up and running, got the filters working, everything's good. You may be noticing on our website that we now have new cameras. So the Explore.org camera has a north side view, which is on top of the den, and captured a great screenshot here of the pack watching a red squirrel climb up a tree. So that's, again, always good to know that the pack is fairly cohesive. And people are able to save screenshots. You can go back in time and kind of review some things. There's the Arctics looking all handsome on top of the den there. And then on the other side of the pen, facing south, we have a view of the kind of the enclosure that is on the back side where Grayson usually howls. And so, like I said, the pond is up and running, and so you'll see that camera pick up a little bit of the pond angle as the wolves cool themselves. The summer heat is coming. We are going to get 70 degrees this week, and it's the wolves have just started shedding, so we're starting to brush the wolves out. But as he travels up this fence line behind the greeting rock, you get a good view, and that's where the camera is, of that upper hillside. So a couple of the still images that were Explore.org images, Bolts and Denali sleeping together. And again, we're always looking at alliances. We know that Bolts depends on Denali, and the Arctics sleeping together with Grayson letting out a howl. So that's it for right now. We do have a free webinar on Friday if you want to join us. That will be Friday, May 22nd at 9 a.m. Central Time. See you then.